Well, what's going on, everybody? It's your girl, Lady J.
And your girl, LuvLuv.
And this is the Mind His Business Show. Right here on Gospel Music Omaha 100.3 FM. Omaha, Nebraska's only black gospel radio station. As a matter of fact, I should say Nebraska's only black gospel radio station.
That's right.
We are doing that thing. Thing.
Do the thing that do the thing. Sorry, Missy.
And we are very, very pleased to be able to minister to you in this way, day after day, week after week, year after year. We are right now, if you're watching this live and in real time, or if you're listening to this live and in real time, the temperature is starting to change. We're actually in the fall as we're recording this, and seasons are changing. And I think when seasons change, that's a good time to do some reassessing and take stock of kind of where we're at and where we're going and what we want to accomplish. Do you agree, LuvLuv?
Absolutely.
So we've been doing a little bit of work here at the radio station. We've been rearranging things. We've been decluttering things, stuff that we didn't use all season long. Some of it we're letting go of. We've got some different plans that we have for reallocating some space here in the building. We have set up our rehearsal hall. I wish you could see it. Here in our broadcast room, we actually have all of our instruments set up, all of our lights set up, lights, camera, action. We have been very, very busy, and as we're going into the fall, we're also looking at more things we can do indoors, because it's not going to be like it was in the summer where you could just have a cookout and you could be out and be in your shorts and having a good time. And now is a very good time to begin that personal assessment process. I was thinking the other day, LuvLuv, how many of my New Year's resolutions did I accomplish this year?
Okay, and how'd you do?
Well, first I said, I don't even remember what my New Year's resolutions were, and that was a problem.
Okay.
And then secondly, I said, well, if I did have a New Year's resolution, if I don't remember it, I know I didn't achieve it. But here's a good question for you if you're driving in your car or you're listening at home or wherever you're listening. If you're listening on GospelMusicOmaha.com, our website, there's a button there where you can say listen now, and you can hear everything that's going over the FM airwaves right over your computer. Or if you have an Android phone, you can also download our app at the Play Store by typing in the search keywords Gospel Music Omaha. But wherever it is that you're listening, my challenge to you is, did you get close to your New Year's resolution goals? Because here we are, we're heading almost into the next new year. And there's a scripture verse that I'm going to kick off today. And it's a very famous and popular verse. And I'm sure if you've been in church for any length of time, you've probably heard this verse. And it goes something along the lines of, without a vision, the people perish.
Yes.
And I believe that's in Hosea. Let's see. I might be misquoting it. Hang on here. Not Hosea. I had the letter H right. It's in Habakkuk. Some people say Habakkuk, and some say Habakkuk. But regardless of how you pronounce it, it's Habakkuk or Habakkuk chapter 2,
1 through 4.
1, 2, 3, and 4. You are absolutely right. And it says, for those of you that may not be as familiar with your scriptures, I'm going to pull that up for us, and I'm going to just read it real quickly here. It says in chapter 2, I will stand upon my watch and set me upon the tower, and will watch to see what he will say unto me, and what I shall answer when I am reproved. And the Lord, the Most High God, answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain upon tables, that he may run that readeth it. For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak
and
not lie. Though it tarry or delay, wait for it, because it will surely come, it will not tarry. Behold, his soul which is lifted up is not upright in him, but the just shall live by his faith. And this actually wasn't even the verse that I was going for. I was going for the one that says, without vision, the people perish. But this one is equally good because I'm thinking about, I went all year long and I had some ideas of things that I wanted to accomplish at the beginning of the year. And I'm thinking to myself, my first mistake apparently was that I didn't write it down. Because if I had written it down, and not just write it down, but write it down somewhere where I will see it and review it on a regular basis. It doesn't matter. And if you're having the same challenge as me, I just want you to know that myself, Lady J, I'm not going to talk about myself in the third person, but me, I try to be as transparent as possible when we're on this broadcast to let you know I'm a real human being. I try to share my successes, but also my failures, my triumphs, my defeats. I try to make it I try to be very open, because this is how we learn and how we grow as believers, is not by having everything perfect, but by showing the progress that we're making from faith to faith. And so this is an area where I felt personally convicted that, well, first of all, why did you not write it down? And second of all, why did you not keep it in a place where you could review it on a regular enough basis that you could take action on it? Now, I know in general what I was trying to accomplish, in general, and I'm still moving in that direction, but I did not accomplish my goal. I'll give you one example. There's a particular project that I was trying to do, and it was something that I wanted to put out in the marketplace, and I wanted to put this product out in the marketplace so that I could earn some additional income to support myself and the bigger visions that I have, my bigger life visions, and also put some extra money in the pockets of the radio station so we can continue to do bigger things. Because we want to do things like bring concerts. We want to put up billboards in North Omaha where our target audience is. We want to be able to give out giveaways for maybe like Thanksgiving giveaways or things of that nature. We want to be able to do more things to have more of a presence in the community. And some of those things, quite frankly, they take donations. And because we are the way our business is structured, we don't qualify for many of the grants that a lot of the nonprofits in this community typically go after and go for. So we are pretty much self-funded and volunteer funded, and whoever wants to support through advertising or through having a show on the radio station. And this isn't a plug for that, but if you do have an event that's coming up, our ads, the cheapest ad price you can get for having some ads during the week would be like $35 to get a few spins on the week. And that is super, super cheap. We can get you down as cheap as $1.50 a spot. This is not a plug for that, but just to say that we try to make what we do here very accessible. If you are interested in that, you can go to GospelMusicOmaha.com/ads, ADS. We also have plenty of airtime on the radio station that we make available for the community to be able to come on and bring your content onto this radio station. Just go to GospelMusicOmaha.com/show, and you can fill out for that as well. And then of course there is a value attached to that, because we do reach 500,000 people, so we can't just give that out for free. That level of impact with the platform, we definitely have to attach value to that. Point being though, is that there are plenty of things that we want to do to make this radio station bigger, better, more well known. We want to send out flyers to all the churches. We want to do a lot more activities. We want to pair up with and partner up with the various churches and community organizations, and some of those things just take finances to do.
You know, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to put acid on anything, but a lot of you know about the gospel radio station already, but you don't support. Well, why don't you let us know why you don't support? And some of you don't have it to support. At least support with your wonderful good prayers towards us. That would be wonderful as well.
So that was,
sometimes they don't have money, but sometimes doing, and some people say you never ask. I had a person literally tell me, I didn't give because you never asked me. So we're asking you right now if you would like to give, or you want to give, and it doesn't matter how much it is. I'm not caught up on how much, okay? please do. Please do. Jackie even has said, hey, buy me a cup of coffee. I remember when you said that. Me, of course, I like tea, you know. Buy me some tea, you know. Or just maybe come and sit and talk to me and say hi. Say hi to us. That would be really wonderful, because sometimes I like to know who's listening to us. Do you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we'd like to meet you. If you're a new pastor, and there have been people that have been here for years, and some people say sometimes it gets staticky. Well, if that's the case, you can download our actual app on Gospel Music Omaha on the Apple. If you have an Apple phone, you can actually download it in case you're missing anything, or you think you hear static, and things of that nature. All right.
So for those of you that do have concern about, well, it's staticky in certain areas, we've explained this many times. I'll put it out there again because maybe you're a new listener and you did not know. So the big radio stations like your Power 106.9, your Sweet 98s, the big radio stations, they typically are owned by very large companies, and the companies themselves own more than one radio station. So for example, a lot of the major radio stations here in Omaha have an office down on around 40th and Dodge, 42nd and Dodge, somewhere in that area. And when you see their radio station, you will see the logos for about 6 or 7 different radio stations that all operate out of the same building.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens, or what has happened across the United States, is that the big companies will literally buy up all of the various frequencies on the radio spectrum. And so the community radios, the people that wanted to use radio for community outreach and purpose, petitioned the government. There's an organization called the FCC, the Federal Communications Committee, I think it is. Don't quote me on that. Anyway, so a lot of smaller organizations such as ours all got together and petitioned the government to say, well, if you let all of the big companies buy up all the major radio frequencies, then how is it going to be local for us to locally impact our communities? Because oftentimes, if you've ever done a long road trip, you've probably noticed this. You can go from one state to another and all the music sounds the same, all of the DJs sound the same, all the ads, national ads sound the same. There's a reason for that, and that is because it's probably the same company that owns that same station in Chicago, that owns that same station in St. Louis, that owns that same station in Nashville, and on it goes. So some of the major companies are like iHeartRadio. Kathy Hughes, who is from Omaha, Nebraska, owns Radio 1. You've probably heard of Radio 1. So a lot of your urban stations are owned by her company. And this is not a knock on the big companies, because they're doing what you're supposed to do in America, that is build a business and make it profitable and make it grow. So there's nothing the matter with that. But when the small companies come in, the mom and pops, the local community organizations say, hey, we want to be able to reach our community through radio. Also, we, meaning our style of business, petitioned the government. And so the FCC took a look at it and said, you're right. If we let all the big companies take up all of the bandwidth, then there will be nothing left for the mom and pop or the smaller radio stations. And so they came up with a different class of radio station called, somebody said, okay, you waved, okay. They came up with a different class of radio station called LPFM, which stands for Low Power FM Radio. And to give you an idea of the difference, a station like maybe Sweet 98 or Power 106.9, they might be operating on 100,000 watts. Or 200,000 watts. It just depends on how big their commercial radio station is, which is why if you're in your car and you drive from Omaha to Lincoln, you can hear Sweet 98 all the way to Lincoln and vice versa, because 100,000 watts it covers a very, very large area. By contrast, the idea for the LPFM bandwidth is that local communities want to be able to reach their communities, but they don't necessarily need to reach beyond their communities. Does this make sense? So because we are targeted in North Omaha, our radio station is designed to primarily cover North Omaha, although it does reach out a bit farther than that. We've heard it all the way as far as Fort Calhoun, halfway to Blair, all the way down to South Omaha.
I've heard it in Council
West
Bluffs.
Omaha, Council Bluffs.
Yes.
So our coverage does cover, but here's the sticker.
Council Bluffs, Iowa.
But here's the sticker. We are limited to only 250 watts. That's all. So now here we are with our little 250 watts, and these other major companies have 100,000 watts. You can see how our 250 watts is not going to cover as much area. So that explains why when you go to certain areas and you have the radio on in certain areas, you might hear some static, or you might even hear some overlap or some bleed over with a country station.
Spotty.
Because there's a country station that's further out west in Nebraska, and the edge of their 100.3 coverage overlaps with the edge of our 100.3 FM coverage, which is why in certain spots you get to drive and all of a sudden you hear some country music. You're like, what happened? They switched stations? Hasn't switched stations. You've just reached probably the edge of where that particular coverage area is for our little humble 250 watts. So this is not something that's specific to our station. All of the Black-owned radio stations that are locally owned here in Omaha, Nebraska, all are in the same LPFM category. So all of them have similar challenges to the challenges that we have. If you were listen to some of our competitors, they also you'd go a certain amount of distance and eventually it would start to sound staticky, or you might hear some bleed over from another station. It's not that we're doing anything wrong or that we don't have a quality product, because we do. We are just limited by the government. So hopefully that explains what the issue is with why sometimes they're static. As we mentioned before, we get around that in two ways. One, you can always listen on our website, GospelMusicOmaha.com. And from there, there's a little hamburger menu up in the top corner, and there's a button there that says Listen Now. If you hit that button, there's a music player that's there, and everything we play on the radio will play on your browser. So whatever,
including interviews and all
everything that we do
that we're doing,
you would hear it on the web the same as what you would hear over the air. The other thing, of course, as we mentioned, is we do have apps in the App Store that also simulcast what we're doing over the air. So we make it available so that even if you're in an area where the reception may not be as clear in your car, you still can listen to what we're doing 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And the beautiful part about that is, let's say you do go and take a trip down to Mississippi somewhere. If you still want to stay connected to Gospel Music Omaha, you can listen on your app or on the web and still get what I would say is the best combination of urban gospel music, hands down, of anybody in the nation, because we play everything from the classics all the way back from the 1940s and 50s all the way up to the most current things. And we have been told so many times that I like your station because you don't just play the same 20 songs all the time. We like to mix it up. We like to give a variety. We don't like to make things boring. And we feel like we've got the best gospel radio station around.
And we don't do a lot of AI stuff either, a lot of AI music.
So,
because some of them do, Jackie, a lot of AI.
You mean AI generated?
Yes.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's a whole different topic we could get into. But there are three major ways that you can support us. Number one, pray for the radio station. This is obvious. If you're a believer, you already know prayer is the number one way.
Pray good prayers. Yes.
In James, I believe it's James chapter 5, it says the effectual fervent prayer of a righteous man avails much.
Yes.
And your prayers make a difference. Number two, tell people about the radio station. Tell your pastor, tell your women's group, tell your Bible study, tell your youth group, tell your board. Tell them about the radio station. We still have people that say, we didn't even know there was a gospel radio station.
How many years you been on? What?
So the more you tell about the radio station, and this doesn't cost anything to just tell somebody, did you know that we got a gospel radio station? Oh, we do. There you go. It's very simple. And number three, not only do we covet your prayers and we appreciate when you tell people about the radio station, but thirdly, If you have any sort of comment or feedback on how we can make the radio station better, we love your feedback. And there's two main ways you can get to us. One, you can send us a quick text at 402-819-8941. That's 402-819-8941. Send us a text with your feedback, something you love, something you hated, something you think would improve the station. We're all open for it. The second way is go to that same website, GospelMusicOmaha.com. And there's a contact page on there. Send us an email in the contact page, and you can be as long and as detailed as you like. I do get those emails. I do respond to those emails. And just give us your feedback, what you love, what you think could be better, because we want to reflect an excellent God, and your feedback goes a long way to help us to do exactly that. So that was like the super long way around saying that I had a project that I wanted to put together to earn some extra income so that I could do more supporting of the radio station. This was one of my goals at New Year's way back. Remember we were talking about that earlier. We didn't went around the mulberry bush and down the rabbit hole, but we're back up on the grass right now. So I started to put this together, and here we are. We're heading into the last quarter of the year, and I still have not gotten this thing out and off the ground like I wanted to. And I started to feel bad about myself. I said, oh my goodness, how are you going to say that this is important and then you didn't follow through on it? You can do better than that. So that's kind of what this passage that we're talking about here in Habakkuk chapter 2 is all about. So we're looking at Habakkuk chapter 2 in case you just joined in with us. And let me put it back up on the screen because I took it down off the screen there for a second. Now, here we go. Now, it says, I will stand upon my watch. Number one, we need to be more active and more intentional about the things that we are doing, saying we're going to be doing, and planning to do. We need to be standing watch. We need to be not just passively letting the days go by without intention. We need to be watching and planning, and not just planning, but being intentional about what it is that we're doing. And this was where I kind of failed, as I set a plan in motion at the beginning of the year. And you know how we say, oh, well, life got in the way. Well, yes and no. Yes, life got in the way. But no, life didn't get in the way, because life is life, and life gonna be life, and no matter whether or not you're pressing towards your goals or whether you're not. But if something is worthy of going after, you make time for it. You carve out time for it. You are intentional about it. So first thing it says in Habakkuk chapter 2 is, I will stand upon my watch and set me upon the tower. When you set something on the tower, you have to understand a little bit about how things used to go back in the day. So when in the Middle East, when you would have a city or a nation or a tribe, etc., they would set up in an area, and in order to protect the residents of their nation, their tribe, their city, whatever it was, they would build a wall around the city, and on this wall they would set up towers. These towers were called watch towers, and they were basically guard towers. They served two functions. One, to be able to see a threat far off before it got close. And number two, if the threat got close, they could be the aggressor to use whatever weapon to neutralize the threat before it was able to attack or breach the wall. So when this passage here says, set me upon the tower, what that's saying is that you need to hold guard over whatever it is that God has placed in your heart to do, whatever that thing is, whatever that goal is. And you need to guard it in such a way to where you don't let things come in and take you off course from whatever that goal is. Does that make sense? And if you have someone that's coming in your life trying to sabotage your goals, then you need to be standing watch and being on the tower with enough awareness to not allow them to do that. So let's say maybe your goal, you did a New Year's resolution, and your New Year's resolution was to, I don't know, lose 10 pounds. I'm making this up here. And let's say your significant other loves the cookies and the donuts and the cakes and the and they kind of don't they don't like exercising. They just kind of chilling out, and both of you maybe have been just kind of chilling out and eating the cakes and the donuts and maybe all of that. But you've decided on January 1st, your New Year's resolution was, you know what, I need to lose 10 pounds. And you're kind of working your goal, and you're saying, you know what, I bet you if I just eliminated some of the donuts and cakes and cookies, I probably could get that 10 pounds off without a whole lot more effort, just even changing those few little things. Now, if you're standing watch would be when you go in the gas station and you see that donut rack that's up there. Now that's my problem right there. Is I go in there, I want to get some coffee, and it's right by the donuts. Oh man, what they do that for? Because every time I go by to get the coffee, I'm looking at them donuts and I'm saying to myself, ooh, you know, that donut, man, that donut's looking so good. And now I have a choice to make. And that little choice about whether or not to eat that donut or not eat that donut is going to make the difference on whether or not I make that New Year's resolution. But now here, sometimes that's the standing watch part, is being aware and not just letting life just kind of life you into submission. That's the standing watch part, is being aware when those triggers or those opportunities to fail come up, and just saying, hey, I can choose whether or not I want to do the right thing or do the thing that's going to set me back. Do I love my future self enough to make the right choice right now? If I make the right choice right now, that's me loving my future me. But now, here's where standing on the tower comes into play. Let's say LuvLuv is also in the gas station with me, and we both decide we're going to get some coffee, and I'm looking at those donuts. And now remember, I got a New Year's resolution. I'm trying to lose 10 pounds, and I decided that maybe, pushing back on a few of those donuts is a good way to get there. Now, if LuvLuv is looking at the donuts also, and LuvLuv decides she gonna get a donut, that's fine that LuvLuv wants to get a donut. But if LuvLuv turns around to me and says, girl, you need to get you one of these donuts. These Long Johns, woo, they cream filled. It's just the kind you like, and they just came up fresh, and she's trying to offer me the donut. Now, I need to now stand on the tower and say, you know what, that's going to sabotage me. Love, we need to have a heart-to-heart here. I'm really trying to lose these 10 pounds, and you making it hard for me to lose these 10 pounds when you're offering me this donut, and you know I'm trying to lose these 10 pounds. So that would be more like standing on the tower.
It depends on where you're getting the donut from. Where you getting it from? You get it from Krispy
Dunkin'. So what do you think about that so far?
Well, I personally wouldn't. I would still get it.
You
but
said you would still get
I
the
sure
donut.
would. I sure would. And if you're working out, work out some more, so that you can be able to get that extra donut if you want it. That's how I feel about it.
But it could be anything. Maybe you're trying to quit. Maybe you're trying to quit vaping, and all of your coworkers like to go out at break time and they like to go and smoke and vape. Maybe if you're standing on the tower of your goal, maybe you say, even though I really would love to hang out with my buddies at break time, I can't hang out with them because it would be too hard for me to be around all the smoking and vaping and not partake. So that's standing at the tower, because you see the threat. Does that make sense? You see that, man, if I put myself in that scenario, it's going to be too hard for me to resist that temptation. So standing on the tower means you see that threat. You see that threat, and you see it far enough off that you choose to just take a different action altogether.
Until you can build up enough of the willpower to, I guess, to be able to say no.
You got it.
Some people have to remove themselves completely, like you said.
You got it. So back to Habakkuk chapter 2. So he's standing upon the watch and set me upon the tower, and will watch what he will say unto me. watch what he will say unto me. This is talking about the Lord. Watch what he will say unto me, and what I shall answer when I am reproved. So this means that I need to be listening to the Holy Spirit's guidance, and I should be praying in conjunction with the goals that have been set. First of all, I should be praying that God will help me to set the goals so that the goals are in line with his plan and purpose for my life. But secondly, as I'm walking through working on those goals, I need to be in tune with the Holy Spirit, because sometimes you do need to adapt to changing circumstances. Maybe you had every goal, pardon me, you had every goal to do a certain thing, but maybe you got hospitalized for some reason, or maybe your a loved one had some sort of tragic circumstance that really you had to change things up. Maybe there was a death, a divorce, a downsizing. So those sorts of things sometimes cause us to have to reassess what the goals are, but that's when we have to be sensitive to the Holy Spirit and listen to say, just like he says, watch to see what he will say unto me. Okay, Holy Spirit, what are you saying unto me? What are you saying to me about this goal now? Am I in the right direction? Do I need to make a course correction? Maybe I need to happen first, second, third, and fourth so that I can do things in an order that will make it more effective. But I need to be listening and consulting the Holy Spirit for that. And what I shall answer when I am reproved. What that means is when the Holy Spirit shows me that, hey, you're off course in this way or that way, and I need you to switch this up, it's up to me to say, you're right, and I will obey, and thank you for pointing that out to me so that I can always please you with everything that I'm doing. Because what this means is that we are taking responsibility for what he has entrusted unto us, those goals and objectives that he has placed in our life, that purpose that he set for us. We have to be accountable that we are being good stewards of the gifts and the goals that he has set in front of us. So that's what it means when it says, and what I shall answer when I am reproved. When he asked me, hey, you know, what are you doing? Are you doing what you're supposed to be doing? That's exactly what I'm talking about on this episode right now, is that here he reproved me. He said, you had these goals in January, and here it is, you heading into the end of the year. What have you done with these goals? Have you released the product? Have you started marketing that product? Have you been able to bless people with the product, or did you just play around with it and pretend like you were going to put it out, or manufacture excuses or reasons why you didn't just finish it? Were you stuck in analysis paralysis? Were you stuck with perfectionism, which really is a form of ego and pride? Were you lazy and just didn't put enough effort into it? So now here I am. He's asking me, because I said I wanted to watch to see what he would say to me. And what he said to me was, why is it 3/4 of the year is gone and you have not completed the goal that you set in January? And I was like, ooh, man, you're reproving me. Okay, ouch. Let me do what is necessary to complete the year, having demonstrated my follow through, my take action, and my completion. Even if it hurts, even if I'm afraid, even if I don't want to be made fun of, even if I don't feel like it's done perfectly, I need to complete it because I want to honor him by saying, hey, what you put my hand to do, I need to show you that I'm capable of following through on what you put my hand to do. So this is actually my way of publicly being out there and letting everybody know that this is what it looks like in practice. Because that's what he reproved me about, and this is how I'm handling it. So if you're interested, what it is that I'm putting out is I'm actually going to be talking about how to decouple your AI from your personal identity, because a lot of people don't know that every time you use something like ChatGPT or AI, they literally can keep a track of all those conversations forever and never delete them, and they're connected to you. So if you're talking to ChatGPT about anything personal, if you have medical questions, or maybe you're talking about your love life, or you're asking things you wouldn't necessarily want the public to know about, there can be a risk in that, especially as we know that the world is turning against biblical Christianity. The world is turning against certain values. There's a lot of strife being stirred up in the nation. There's a lot of things going on to where those private conversations can be hacked and possibly be used against you at some point. And so the product that I'm going to be offering is a free webinar that will explain the product. But what we'll be doing is helping you to decouple your personal identity from your chat logs so that you can chat freely without having it attached to your identity.
Right. Yeah.
AI is not going away. Chatbots are not going away. LLMs, which are large language models, they're not going away. And it's important that we be careful to tame our tech and starve the beast while we're finding our flow. And that's basically my mission, is to help people to tame their tech, starve the beast, and find their flow in life, and to use these tools for positive while avoiding the traps and pitfalls that can come on the other side of that double-edged sword. So if you are interested in that, it's a webinar at techdeception.com/webinar. And the webinar is at no cost. I do make an offer at the end of that if you want to work with me, and I do have a very few spots to be able to work with people. So there is an interview process, a form that would need to be filled out, and then we would have to see if we're a good fit. But basically, that's what it is that I want to put out there, because especially for believers, the world hates Christians. And that's one of the ways that they're going to use this technology against Christians, is to pull these chat logs and say, oh man, they're fanatics, they're domestic terrorists, they're whatever label they want to put on us, because we hold to certain beliefs, and our chat logs could indeed be used against us. And that includes things like, hey Siri, hey Google, all that sort of stuff. All of those things are all big data. And the more we can segregate our identity from our technology, the more we can endure until the end, and to keep our privacy and our humanity as intact as possible for as long as possible. So anyway, so enough of that. Back to Habakkuk chapter 2. After we have this, what shall I answer when I'm reproved? The next verse, verse 2, and the Lord answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain upon tables, that he may run that reads it. So first of all, the Lord says to write the vision. That was one of the places where I fell down, is that I had the vision, but when I wrote it down, I don't remember where I wrote it down. I think it was just in my mind what I was going to do, and maybe I wrote it on a scrap of paper somewhere, but I didn't do the second piece of that, which is to make it plain upon the tables, meaning, one, that the goals and vision is clear, and two, that it's plain to see, and three, that it's on the tablets, which means it's somewhere that's not just going to get lost or destroyed or lost in translation or lost in the shuffle. And that's where I fell down. It wasn't even so much that I didn't write down my New Year's resolutions. It was that I didn't make them plain on the tables. I didn't review them regularly and then gauge my progress toward those goals, those New Year's resolutions, all the way along. One of the things that I'm going to change, that I would recommend that you do, is the next time you review a goal, an objective, it could be a New Year's resolution or just something you're choosing right now. You're going to say, okay, I got a goal and I want to do this certain thing. I encourage you to set a recurring reminder in your phone, maybe once a week or maybe once a month, whatever cadence you feel works for you, and put a reminder in there that just comes up on your phone once a month to say, your New Year's resolution was to lose 10 pounds. How are you doing with the goal? Just something to, this is the digital equivalent of making it plain upon the tables. So you're making it plain to yourself and you're reminding yourself on a regular basis, this is something that you identified this as important. If it was a New Year's resolution, it was something that was important to you at one point in time. And if you're not making any progress toward that goal, that means either one or two things. One is really not that important to you and you're not being honest with yourself. Or two, You haven't done a good enough job of making it plain and making a plan. So that's what this is here. It's write the vision, make it plain upon the table so that he may run that reads it. In other words, so that you can take action on it. What's up?
I don't do New Year's resolutions. Sorry, not sorry.
Well, it doesn't have to be a New Year's resolution.
I'd rather do a daily, because sometimes people just need to start with a day. Just do something today. Clean your room today.
Right. Make your bed.
Make your bed today. Mop your floor today. Those are goals, but short-term goals that you can accomplish right away.
That's good.
That's me. That's how I do it. I'm going to go to the gym, or matter of fact, I'm not going to go to the gym. You know what? I'm going to work out right now, right here. Save yourself the membership money and basically be disciplined and get down and do what you do.
That's what I did just today. No lie. Just today, I bought a walking pad. I work remotely, and so I sit at my computer for 8 hours a day every day, and I can start to feel it in my hips and in my back and just in my overall health. And so one of my goals was to be more active. So I bought a walking pad. It's like a treadmill, but it's just flat. It doesn't have incline. It doesn't have arms that come up, none of that. It's just a flat walking surface, and it's designed to fit under your desk so you can stand up and walk while you're working on your computer. I just bought that today because I said I need to be more healthy, because one of my goals is that I want my face to look, this is probably a little too personal, but I want my face to look good on camera when I'm recording videos. And I don't like how I got this double chin going on now because I've gained more weight over the years. And I'm not talking about makeup or things like that. I'm just talking about, like, my face looks like it's too heavy, it's too round. My face has always been round, but it's never been round and heavy looking, droopy looking,
Well, you look like your grandmother to me.
And
she's beautiful.
So
she's absolutely beautiful to me.
Well, thank you for saying that about my grandmother. What I was getting at, though, is that I don't like how I look on camera. So if I want to do something about that, what would be a way that I wouldn't have to change up too much of my routine, but I could still add some little wins to help me get there? Well,
what if you still had those and you did lose all that weight?
If I lost all that weight and I still have them, then I will have to accept that for what it is. But I know that anytime a person gets more healthy and more toned, that you just overall feel better, number one. Two, you'll live longer. And number three, it does improve your appearance.
Now, me, I don't go doing all that. No. Somebody said, oh, you look like you've lost a lot of weight. Yeah, I have. Fasting is what I do, and I do stretching. I do lots of stretching. And believe it or not, when you're stretching, that can also get your heart rate up and different things like that. People who have high blood pressure, there are certain ways that you do things that I'm not just going to get up there and just start running out of control and send your blood pressure way through the roof. And, but, I am going to control it by, I'll do sea salt, or I won't do any salt at all. There are things that you can do literally that produce that healthiness without trying to kill yourself. That's what I call it.
Right.
I'm not going to do that.
So to round this out, in Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 3, it says, for the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it delays or tarries, wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not delay. It will not tarry. So what this is communicating to me is that some things are going to take time. You're not going to solve them in a day. Like, I can't just go to the gym in one day and lift a couple of dumbbells and expect that I'm going to have the same muscles as Clarissa Shields, the boxer, right? I'm not going to pass up one donut in the gas station and automatically drop 10 pounds by tomorrow. It doesn't work that way. The vision is for an appointed time. There may be a period of time that you will need to focus on just that one thing. And so that's why it's good to not have too many goals, because you're really going to need to focus on that particular goal, vision, resolution, whatever it is, and just work on that one thing.
How about a 24-hour goal? Don't drink. Don't drink that shot.
You're right. It could be as simple as that.
Yeah.
And when those cravings come and they seem overwhelming, do your best to distract yourself, because most of the time when a craving comes, a craving will also pass. It comes, it flies over, it's very intense, but if you're able to distract yourself by pressing into something else or doing another activity, removing yourself from the environment, calling a friend, calling AA, whatever it is that you need to do, it will pass. It will pass. And that's why I actually don't like sometimes going shopping, because if I go shopping, I know I ain't got no money to be spending on that when I got to pay my bills, but man, that thing looks really good. When I see it up there on the shelf, it's like, oh man, I might not even need it. But that's why sometimes I don't even go shopping, because I don't want to be tempted to spend money I shouldn't be spending on things that I shouldn't be spending it on. So for me, that's my way of controlling that particular temptation is, man, don't go. And if you do go, don't take the credit card that got all the available balance on it either. Take just like what your limit is on what you're willing to spend, and then once you've hit that, no more. So
know your budget. Know your budget.
You got to.
You have to know your budget. If your budget is $20, then go and don't spend any more than $20. Now, if you go to, you already know, thrifting, because I love to go thrifting, and they be having new clothes in there too. They do. And you can buy a whole bunch of clothes. Know what color the tag is for that day. The color is, I don't know, purple, yellow, whatever. And go according to that color. Yeah. You can get a lot of stuff. And sometimes it's only for 99 cents, 89 cents, things like that. So I love it. Do you?
I do. So be patient with the resolution or the goal or the vision or whatever it is that you're doing. Trust the process. Be patient with yourself. Be patient with the process, because just like the verse says, it will come to pass. It will, even though it may seem like it's taking longer than you want it to. If it's important enough to you to do, it's important enough to you to follow through. If it's important enough to do, it's important enough to follow through. And you will see the results, but you got to stick with it. Like if you want to be a bodybuilder, you can't just go to the gym one time. It's going to be a combination of day in and day out and day in and day out, and how you're eating and what you're not eating, and how you're sleeping and how you're hydrating and all the supplements and all those things. But if it's worth it to you, if you say it's worth it to me to have a body that is height, weight, proportionate, muscular, and low body fat, if that's your goal, then it says the vision will happen at the appointed time. And if a time is an appointed time, that means it's a future event. In other words, you may have to work at it for days or for weeks or for months or for years. But if it fits into your overall goals, your overall why, I like to say, know your why. Why do you want to do it? And is that why strong enough for you to push through the days when you don't want to, or the boredom? Because following and reaching a goal should not feel like drudgery. Did you know that? We always make doing our resolutions or goals like, oh, it's just so, you're just not going to want to do it, and you're just forcing yourself to do it. And that's the wrong approach. The right approach to doing a goal is to not even define the goal. Define why. Define your why. Then when you're dealing with the how, working through the how becomes easy when you have a strong enough why. What do you mean, Lady J? Well, maybe you had, maybe you had an alcoholic parent, and when you grew up, you said, I don't ever want to be like that. and maybe you started down the road and you realized that you were drinking a little bit more than you should, and you started to notice that it was becoming a habit or becoming a problem. Well, if you have a strong enough why that says, oh my gosh, I'm turning into my parent, and that's the last thing I want. I don't want that. I don't care what it takes. I am not going to be that. That's a strong enough why to help you to get past the cravings and the temptations. Now, of course, you're going to need support. It may be AA, it may be your pastor, it may be your men's group, it may be whatever it is. The point is, though, is that if your motivation, your why is strong enough, you can push through anything. It's kind of like saying, I'm reading this book called The Compound Effect. And in the book, he gave a really nice illustration. He said, if I set down a beam in front of you, and it's 8 feet long, and it's on the ground, and I said, this balance beam that's right here, this 2x4, I want you to walk across this 2x4, and when you get to the other side, I'm going to give you $20. Now, just about everybody that's listening will be like, heck yeah, I'll do that. And you get up and you walk on this 2x4, and you get to the other side, and I give you $20. Now, let's adjust the scenario a little bit. Let's say that same...
If you're afraid of heights, make it 40, make it 50.
Let's say that same 2x4 is stretched across the roof of 2 buildings. Now I say, if you walk across this 2x4, this 8-foot 2x4, I'll give you $20. But you're 30 feet in the air. Now you're probably saying to yourself, oh no, that ain't worth it. I'm not risking it. Nope.
I have to know the height. I have to know the width of the board or whatever I'm walking across. I need to know the specs.
So $20 is not a strong enough motivation for most of us to try to walk on a little tiny 2x4 going across the roof of 2 buildings with no safety harness, no nothing, right? You would agree with that. Most of us be like, that $20 ain't enough motivation.
I don't even care if it's 5 feet off the ground. I need to know the specs. How wide is the board that I'm walking on? What's hold the board? Give me the information.
Now,
give me the 411.
Now let me adjust the scenario a third time. Let's say on the other side of that building, on the other building in between, on the other side of that 2x4 is your daughter, and she is about to fall off that building if you do not walk across that 2x4 and go and grab her before she falls.
What is you doing over there? Look.
You may say that, but your motivation to save your child would overcome any fear you might have about walking across that 2x4 if it meant saving her life.
Well, that testosterone will kick in on you.
Kick in.
That adrenaline, yeah, it sure will.
Well,
it'll cause you not only save her, but knock out whoever put her there, because that's what I would be doing.
So this is illustrating my point. Your why in the third scenario, your motivation, your why, your reason for doing it is stronger than your fear, is stronger than the risk, is stronger than your hesitation. You have a strong enough reason on the other side of that 2x4 to save your child that you're willing to do whatever it takes to make sure that your child doesn't fall 30 feet to the ground. So most of our resolutions and visions and goals need to be that same way. We have to find that strong enough motivation, and it can be a positive or a negative. You can say, I don't ever want to be 400 pounds again. I hate how I look. I hate how I feel. My whole body hurts. I don't ever want to be this big ever again in life. And I hate being this big. I hate all the things about it. That might be a strong enough why for you. For other people, it might be.
What got you to that point? What depression, what got you to weighing that much?
So if you hate that version of yourself that bad, when you don't want to get out of bed and go to the gym, all you got to do is think about, I don't want to be that person again. And that helps you to get past that desire to just stay in the bed and not try. So it can be something that you love very, very much. I'm doing this for my kids. I'm doing this for my country. I'm doing this for my, whatever it is. It can be a positive motivation. It can be a negative motivation.
I know somebody that was that big.
Some people.
They actually just getting in and out of the bed because they were so big they were bedridden. Well, just sitting up and putting their feet down and those type of, you think that they're small, but for them, it's major.
For a lot of us, it doesn't matter what it is. It just has to be a strong enough why for you. It can be maybe somebody hurt your feelings and you want to prove them wrong. Success is the best revenge. If someone told you couldn't do it, maybe your motivation is, oh, well, they think I can't do it. Well, I'll prove them wrong. I'll show them wrong. If that's your motivation, if that's a strong enough why, then that can help you to get through the times when it's boring or when it's hard or when you don't want to. So hopefully you can see that having the right motivation or having the why, know your why, a strong enough why, you'll figure out the how. If I hate being 400 pounds and I don't ever want to be that size ever again, does it really matter which diet I choose and which gym I pick and am I really going to waste a lot of time?
Don't be trying to do, because the first 3 letters of diet is DIE. You going to die. You got to.
It won't, at that point, it will not matter how long it takes for me to get that weight off. It will not matter what gym I go to. It will not matter whether I do the keto diet, the Atkins diet, the pescatarian diet, the 3-hour diet. All of those diets won't matter. Whatever I pick, I'm going to stick with what I pick because my why is strong enough to say, I don't care how long it takes. I'm not going to be like this anymore. Or it doesn't matter how long it takes. I'm going to prove my bully wrong. I don't care how long it takes. I'm going to earn my parents' love. I mean, which is not the great reason to do it. But if that's your reason, that's your reason. I'm going to do it because I want to live to see my grandchildren. And if I don't change, I'm going to die before I see my grandchildren. Like, it doesn't matter what the why is. Only you know what those deepest motivations are. And that's where you do what it says in Habakkuk chapter 2, where you consult the Lord. Remember when it said in verse 1, I will watch to see what he will say unto me and what I shall answer. And then he says, write the vision and make it plain. First, consult the Lord. Help me to understand my most innermost thoughts, fears, concerns, my biggest motivations. Help me to align my biggest motivations with you. Help me to align my greatest purpose with what your purpose is for me, so that I'm always in alignment with you. So when I listen to you speak, you're leading me and guiding me in your path. As it says in Proverbs chapter 3, trust in the Lord with all thy heart and lean not unto thy own understanding. Let me acknowledge him in all thy ways and he shall direct thy paths. I think I quoted that right. Let me pull that up here quickly before we jump on out of here. Let's see how good my scripture memorizing is. Proverbs chapter 3, I think it's verse 5 and 6. Ooh, good job, Jackie. Trust in the Lord with all thine heart and lean not unto thine own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths. Be not wise in your own eyes.
Don't do it.
Fear the Lord and depart from evil. It shall be health to your belly and marrow to your bones. So that's actually a good place to kind of put a period on this idea that if there's something in you that you want to do and you want to make a goal, you want to make an objective for it, first seek the Lord. Second of all, write it down. Third of all, remind yourself regularly of your goal. Fourth of all, be watchful so that you're being consistent, and stay on the tower, which means to guard yourself from any threat or any temptation that would knock you off course from your goal. And lastly, what is your why? Find your why, because if you have a strong enough why, you'll do whatever it takes for the how. That's all I got to say about that. Any closing thoughts, LuvLuv?
Nope.
So you said
Just that you can do it.
I believe you can
You
too.
can do it.
Especially
You
with the
can do
Holy
it.
Spirit's help.
You can do it. You can do it.
So with that being said, I think we're going to go ahead and get on out of here. I love you this week. Make sure you tell some folks about the radio station. This is Lady J.
And this is LuvLuv. I
And
love you
we'll
today and every day.
And we'll see you next time.
Ciao.